I need to tell you something today that most pandits will not say publicly, something that I have seen destroy the financial peace of Hindu families for 30 years across homes in New Jersey, in London, in Toronto, in Houston, in Auckland. Families who go to the mandir faithfully, who perform puja with sincere hearts, who observe every vrat, who recite the Lakshmi Sahasranama on Friday evenings. And yet, Lakshmi does not stay in their homes. She enters perhaps for a brief visit, and then she leaves. The money comes and immediately vanishes. The opportunities appear and dissolve. The family works and works, and the financial suffering does not lift. And the reason, in the vast majority of cases I've witnessed, is not the absence of devotion. The devotion is genuine. The reason is that in their homes, right beside their puja rooms, or sometimes inside them, there are three specific things that Vastu Shastra identifies as direct violations of Lakshmi's presence. Three things that send a message to the goddess, at the most subtle but most real energetic level, that she is not truly welcome. I'm going to tell you what those three things are today. I'm going to tell you exactly why each one drives Lakshmi away, according to the most ancient principles of Vedic spatial science. And I'm going to tell you precisely what to do to correct each one. Some of these corrections you can make today, before this evening's prayer, and you will feel the difference immediately. I am Guruji Raman Sharma. I was born and raised in Varanasi, the holiest city in all of India, on the banks of the Ganga, in the shadow of the Kashi Vishwanath temple. Now, for more than 45 years, I have studied the Vedic sciences of prosperity, the mantras, the ritual traditions, the sacred text of Vastu Shastra, under the direct guidance of my grandfather, Pandit Vishnu Sharma, who was a priest at the Kashi Vishwanath temple and who learned these principles from an unbroken chain of Brahmin knowledge, going back to the ancient rishis. For 30 years, I have lived in the United States and I have sat inside thousands of Hindu homes in the diaspora. I have walked into puja rooms across this country and been able within minutes to understand why a family is struggling financially. Not because I am a special person, because I learned to read the language that homes speak. And once you know that language, the message is unmistakable. What I'm about to share is one of the nine sacred laws of Lakshmi that I have spent 45 years organizing from the Vedic and Vastu traditions into a complete and actionable system. Today's teaching concerns what the ancient texts call the law of sacred receptivity, the Vastu principle that your home must be prepared to receive divine abundance, not merely to ask for it. The three violations I'm about to describe all represent the same underlying error. The home is asking for Lakshmi's presence, while simultaneously telling her, at an energetic level she cannot ignore, that she's not welcome. When you correct these three things, you remove the contradiction. And when the contradiction is removed, Lakshmi's path into your home becomes clear. And I want to take you back to a teaching my grandfather gave me when I was a young man in Varanasi. I was perhaps 23 or 24 years old. I had come home from Banaras Hindu University full of philosophical knowledge, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the classical commentaries. I thought I understood everything important. My grandfather took me on his morning walk along the Ganga, and as we passed the ghats, where families were performing their daily rituals, he stopped and pointed to a home we could partially see from the riverbank. He said, "Look at that house. What do you see?" I looked and saw a modest home, nothing unusual. He said, "Look at the entrance. Look at what is piled beside the door." I looked more carefully. There were old shoes, some broken furniture, bags of discarded items from the household, a dustbin near the threshold. He said to me, "That family prays. I know them. The wife performs Lakshmi Puja every Friday without fail, but she has unknowingly placed a wall of energetic resistance at the very point where abundance must enter. Her prayers go up, and they are heard. But Lakshmi turns toward the door and finds the path blocked." He paused and said, "Most people know how to pray. Very few know how to prepare the space for the answer." Those words lodged in me in a way that the philosophical texts never had. And what followed over the next 40 years of study and work in actual homes confirmed their truth at every turn. Write in the comments right now. Om Shreem Mahalakshmiye Namaha. Write it as an act of beginning, an act of saying, I am ready to prepare my home for her presence. Let us begin. Zahid, let me speak to where so many of you are right now. You practice, you pray, you do not neglect your devotion. And yet, there is something that feels stuck, a heaviness in the financial dimension of your life. That sincere prayer has not yet moved. I have sat with hundreds of families in exactly this position, and there's almost always a specific Vastu violation in or near the puja space that is creating what the ancient texts call Lakshmi dosha, a blockage in the channel through which divine prosperity flows into the home. The Atharva Veda describes the home as a living field of energy, not merely a physical structure, but a subtle organism that amplifies or diminishes whatever is placed within it. The puja room is the heart of this organism. The heart. Thou, whatever surrounds that heart, determines the quality of the energetic signal it sends into the rest of the household. This is not metaphor. This is Vedic science. The Vastu Shastra, which was systematized by the ancient sages and has been refined over thousands of years, describes in precise terms how objects, locations, and states of energy interact within a bounded space. The northeast corner of any structure, which the ancient texts call the Ishan Kona, is the zone of the divine, the direction from which cosmic energy enters a home. When this zone is properly maintained, it functions as an open gateway. When it is polluted with the wrong energy, the gateway closes. And a closed gateway means that no matter how sincere the prayer, the channel through which the answer travels has been obstructed. And I have spent 45 years organizing the teachings of Vastu, the mantras of the Sri Suktam, and the devotional traditions of Lakshmi worship into 9 sacred laws. The law of sacred receptivity, which governs how we prepare the space around our puja room, is one of the most immediately transformative of these 9. The corrections I'm sharing today work quickly because they remove active obstructions. You are not adding something new. You are clearing something that is blocking what is already trying to reach you. Now, let me tell you about the first thing that must never be kept near your puja room. The first violation is what I call the energy of the departed placed in the zone of the living. Photographs of deceased family members, grandparents, parents, relatives who have passed from this world should never be placed inside the puja room or on the walls adjacent to it. I know that this is a common practice in many Hindu households. I understand the love and the reverence behind it. When we lose someone we love, we want to keep them near us, especially in our most sacred space, where we feel closest to the divine. The intention is beautiful, but the effect, according to Vastu Shastra and the deeper understanding of sacred space that my grandfather transmitted to me, is severely damaging to Lakshmi's presence in the home. Here is why. The puja room belongs entirely to the realm of the living divine, to Lakshmi, to Ganesh, to Vishnu, to the deities who represent the active, flowing, life giving energies of existence. These are energies of movement, of light, of increase, of vitality. The energy associated with those who have departed belongs to a different realm, what the Vedic tradition calls the Pitruloka, the realm of the ancestors. This is not a negative realm. Honoring our ancestors, Pitru Tarpan, Shraddha ceremonies, is among the most important of Vedic duties. But the Vedic tradition is very precise about where and how that honoring is done. It is done in specific rituals at specific times. On Amavasya during Pitru Paksha, it is not done in the puja room that is dedicated to the living divine. When photographs of deceased ancestors sit in the puja room or on its adjoining walls, what happens energetically is this. You have placed the energy signature of the Pitru Loka inside the zone that is meant to be a pure channel for Lakshmi. These two energies do not combine, they interfere with each other. Had the ancient text, Brihat Samhita, which is one of the foundational texts of Vastu Shastra, describes this as an energetic contradiction. Two incompatible vibrational qualities occupying the same sacred zone, each neutralizing the other. The prayers go up. Lakshmi turns toward the home and finds the signal unclear, mixed, not a pure invitation. My grandfather described it this way: you cannot send a coherent message when two different frequencies are broadcasting from the same point. What you should do, and you can do this today, remove all photographs of deceased family members from the puja room and from the walls immediately surrounding it. Create a separate, respectful space for remembering your ancestors, a shelf elsewhere in your home, ideally in the south or southwest part of your house, which in Vastu Shastra governs the realm of ancestors and protection. Place their photographs there, light a lamp for them on Amavasya, honor them in the appropriate rituals and the appropriate dedicated space, and let your puja room become what it is meant to be, a zone exclusively tuned to the living divine. As you remove the photographs, say quietly, with love and gratitude, I honor my ancestors in the place that belongs to them, and I prepare this sacred space for Lakshmi's undivided presence. The sincerity of this intention matters as much as the physical act. Now, let me tell you about the second thing. The second violation is one I encounter in almost every home I visit. It is something so ordinary, so embedded in modern life, that most families would never think to associate it with the blocking of prosperity. Just I'm speaking about electronic devices, mobile phones, tablets, charging cables, left inside or beside the puja room. This includes televisions placed on walls that are shared with the puja space. This is one of the most pervasive Vastu violations affecting Hindu homes today, particularly in the diaspora, where apartment living means the puja mandir is often tucked into a corner of the living room right beside the entertainment system, and it is causing direct and measurable damage to the energetic quality of that sacred space. Let me explain this through the Vedic understanding of energy, and then I will tell you what my grandfather said about it long before mobile phones existed, which will make perfect sense when you hear it. The puja room is built on the principle of stillness. I not physical stillness alone, stillness of the electromagnetic field, stillness of the subtle vibrational environment. The Upanishads describe Lakshmi as a presence that moves toward spaces of sattva, the quality of purity, clarity, and stillness. Raja, the quality of agitation, restlessness, and constant motion, is the energy that drives her away. Electronic devices do not merely sit in a space, they actively emit. They pulse with electromagnetic energy. They carry the energetic residue of every conversation, every anxious search, every moment of distraction and desire that has passed through them. They vibrate with the frequency of the marketplace, not the frequency of the sacred. When they are placed beside the puja mandir, they saturate the surrounding energy field with exactly the vibrational quality that is opposite to Lakshmi's nature. My grandfather said something about this to me in the context of the transistor radio, which was the disruptive technology of his generation. He said, sacred space is built through patient accumulated stillness. One moment of concentrated disturbance can undo hours of accumulated sanctity. He did not allow any device that produced sound or electromagnetic disturbance within 10 feet of his puja space. At the time, I thought he was being overly strict. After 30 years of observing what happens in homes with and without this boundary, I understand that he was being precise. What you should do: move all mobile phones, tablets, and charging stations away from the immediate vicinity of your puja room. A minimum of 6 feet in every direction is the guideline I give to families. If your television is on a wall shared with your puja space, this is a significant Vastu dosha. If you cannot physically move the puja, you can create an energetic boundary by placing a piece of copper. Copper is the metal that the Vedic tradition consistently associates with the containment and focusing of sacred energy between the television wall and the puja space. A copper strip along the shared wall, or simply a copper vessel of water placed as a barrier, creates a meaningful energetic separation. Additionally, during the time of puja, from the moment you begin until the flame of the diya has been honored and the mantra recitation is complete, all electronic devices in the home should be silenced, not merely on silent mode, completely off. This is not about the sound, it is about the field. The mantra I give to families when they make this correction is simple. Before you move the devices away, hold them in your hands for a moment and say, "You have your place in my life, and I'm grateful for your function. But this space belongs to the divine. I release you from this sacred zone with gratitude." Then move them. The acknowledgement matters. It transforms the act from rejection into boundary setting, which is a very different energetic quality. And now the third. This is perhaps the most important of the three, and the one whose consequences, according to the ancient texts, are the most directly connected to the flow of financial abundance. The third thing that must never be near your puja room is what I will call the accumulation of the stale. And this means specifically three things that are so commonly found in Hindu puja spaces that many people consider them simply part of the altar's landscape: wilted or dead flowers that have not been removed, old prasad or food offerings that have begun to decay, and broken or chipped idols and torn or damaged religious images. I want to address these separately because each carries its own specific meaning within Vastu Shastra, and my grandfather taught me to understand them not as a combined rule but as three distinct violations of the same fundamental principle: wilted flowers and decaying prasad. Oh, in the tradition my grandfather transmitted to me, fresh flowers and fresh food offerings are the physical language through which we tell the divine, "I see you, I honor you, and I'm bringing the first and finest of what I have to offer." The word prasad in Sanskrit means grace, received in return for an offering freely given. When an offering is fresh, it carries the energy of that intention intact. When it decays, it carries something entirely different: the energy of neglect, of something that was offered and then forgotten. The Lakshmi Tantra, which is a devotional text dedicated entirely to the goddess, describes Lakshmi as one who dwells in places of beauty, fragrance, and freshness, and who departs from places of decay and neglect. The ancient rishis were not being poetic when they wrote this. They were describing an energetic law. When decaying matter sits on the altar's vibrational quality shifts from the frequency of fresh offering to the frequency of abandonment. And Lakshmi doesn't remain in a space that feels abandoned. The correction is immediate. Remove all wilted flowers and any prasad more than 24 hours old from your puja space today. Replace them with fresh flowers, if possible. Even a single fresh marigold is infinitely more powerful than a beautiful arrangement of wilted ones. The replacement should be accompanied by the mantra Om Hrim Shrim Lakshmi Phyo Namaha, recited three times as you place the fresh offering. Three is the number that completes the invocation in this particular tradition. The three resonances of creation, preservation, and renewal that Lakshmi herself embodies. Now, broken idols. This is the violation that my grandfather considered the most serious of all the Vastu doshas in the puja room. And I want you to understand why, because once you understand it, you will never need to be reminded. In the Vedic tradition, an idol, a murti, that has been consecrated and placed on your home altar is not merely a representation of a deity. Through the practice of prana pratishtha, the ritual of establishing divine presence, the murti becomes an actual dwelling place of the deity's energy. It is within the boundaries of your home, a living sacred presence. When a murti becomes cracked, chipped, or broken, the vessel is damaged. The Agama Shastra, which provides the detailed guidelines for temple rituals later adapted for home worship, is absolutely clear on this point. A broken murti cannot hold the consecrated presence. The dead sai, the divine energy, does not remain in a damaged vessel. But here is what the texts say that most people do not know. While the divine energy does not remain in the broken murti does not become neutral. According to Vastu Shastra, it begins to generate an energy of incompletion, of structural damage that radiates outward into the space that surrounds it. In the zone of your puja room, in the most energetically sensitive space in your home, This is deeply problematic, and yet I have walked into hundreds of homes and found broken Ganesh murtis, chipped Lakshmi idols, cracked frames on religious images, all sitting on the altar, not out of disrespect, but because families did not know. They kept them because they loved them. They could not bear to remove them. I understand this completely. My grandfather felt the same way when a beloved Ganesh Murti in our family home was damaged. But he also acted immediately. He said, our love for Ganesh is not diminished by honoring him correctly. Correct honor means ensuring that his dwelling place in our home is whole and intact. What you must do, walk to your puja room today, right after this teaching ends, and examine every murti with honest eyes. Is there a crack, a chip, a piece that is broken and been carefully glued back? If yes, that murti must be retired, not thrown away. Retired with full respect. Take it to flowing water, a river, a stream, a creek. Say, I return you to the Ganga, to the great waters from which all sacred forms emerge, and to which they return. I do this with gratitude and love in honor of the deity you represent. Then release it gently into the water. So, after you have retired the damaged murti, wait before replacing it. Let the altar sit in clean simplicity for 3 days. Light your ghee lamp, recite your mantras, but let the space breathe without a new presence. On the fourth day, which in the Vedic tradition represents the day of new beginning, after the 3 days of transition, bring a new murti that is whole and unbroken. Ideally, perform a simple prana pratishta, an invocation of the divine presence into the new form. If you do not know this ritual in its full form, you can use the foundational invocation Om Asha Shri Lakshmi Pranapratishta, Mantrasya, followed by Om Shrim Mahalakshmiye Namaha recited 108 times while holding the new murti between your palms with a pure heart and a clear intention. The, puro, the purity of your intention in that moment is the prana pratishta that matters most. Let me now speak to the cumulative effect of these three corrections. When families I work with make all three of these changes, removing ancestor photographs to their proper space, creating an electronic boundary around the puja room, and retiring all wilted offerings and broken murtis, what they consistently describe afterward is a palpable shift in the quality of the puja room itself, a lightness, a clarity, a sense that the space has opened in some way that was previously blocked. Some describe it as walking into a room that had been closed for years and opening the windows for the first time. This is not imagination. This is what happens when a channel that was obstructed is cleared. The prayer that was always there, but that in the devotion that was always genuine, now has a clear path to travel. I need to say something important before we close. I understand the urgency that many of you feel. Financial pressure is real, and I'm not here to dismiss it with spiritual abstractions. We are living through a period of genuine economic difficulty across the world, and families in the Hindu diaspora are feeling this in real and painful ways. I know this because the families who come to me for guidance are experiencing it directly, but the urgency is also, in this context, part of the problem. The approach that says, I need to fix my finances, so I will rush through a few Vastu corrections and recite a few mantras and see what happens within 2 weeks. This approach misses the fundamental principle at the heart of all Vedic practice. The Bhagavad Gita, in the 12th chapter, describes the path to divine abundance as one of patient and sustained devotion, not of frantic remediation. Corrections made with a rushed and desperate heart carry the energy of that desperation into the sacred space. Make these corrections with slowness, with deliberateness, with the quality of attention that communicates to Lakshmi. I'm not in a panic, I'm in a practice. After 45 years of organizing Lakshmi's teachings into the nine sacred laws, I can tell you with confidence that the law of sacred receptivity, which governs how we prepare and maintain our puja space, is the foundation upon which all the other eight laws rest. You can perform the most powerful mantras, the most devotional Friday lamp rituals, the most sincere Lakshmi puja, lie, but if the space itself is broadcasting an energy of contradiction, obstruction, or neglect, the prayers encounter resistance before they can fully manifest. What you have received today is one of nine. The remaining eight laws address the full spectrum of how Lakshmi's energy flows through your personal practice, through the direction and orientation of your altar, through specific mantras that have been almost entirely lost from public teaching, through the relationship between your financial behavior and your dharmic alignment. My grandfather taught me these practices individually over a lifetime. It took me decades to understand how they connect as a unified system, each amplifying the others in ways that cannot be achieved by any one practice in isolation. In my next teaching, I will reveal a specific mantra practice from the Sri Suktam that the ancient rishis said must always be combined with the space purification you have learned today. Without it, the space you have cleared will remain clean but quiet. With it, the cleared space becomes an active invitation. Most Pandits teach the Sri Suktam recitation, but almost none teach the specific element within it that activates the mantra's prosperity drawing power. I learned this from my grandfather on a single occasion. He said he would teach it to me once, and that I must not forget it because he had received it the same way. I will share it in our next time together. Please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss it. Write Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha in the comments. And share this teaching with one Hindu family in your life whose home, you sense, might have one of these three violations in place. Sharing sacred knowledge is itself an act of dharma, and the Vedic tradition is consistent and clear. Acts of dharma create the conditions for prosperity in the one who performs them. May Goddess Lakshmi find in your home the clear and open welcome she has always been waiting to receive. May Lord Ganesha remove every obstacle, every energetic contradiction, every accumulated obstruction that has stood between your sincere devotion and the abundance that is your family's birthright. May your puja room become the luminous heart of your home, pure, whole, and alive with the presence of the divine. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.